So today we're going to talk about how we can help therapists that already have a business grow and scale and be more effective and be more efficient. For instance, we've had quite a few therapists come to us lately that have been in practice for, anywhere from a few months to a couple years to even 5 to 6 years. And what we've been seeing is therapists are working their butt off and pretty much not having time to themselves, getting to the point of burnout. And then when we start looking at KPIs, they may not understand what KPIs are. They don't have any idea, the numbers for their business. And even more concerning, I'm finding people, they're not even paying themselves. So they're spending all of this time, energy, and money building a business. But is it a business if they're not even being profitable, or if they're not enjoying it, or being able to truly do everything they want? So Steve, what do you see when we have business owners that are already out there but they could really use some help to grow, be more efficient and effective?
Yeah, I love that question because, and you mentioned the two key words, profitable and enjoying what you do. So I think, I think it takes a lot for a business owner to come out and reach out and say, hey, I have a business, but I have a problem, right? That problem could be either that they're not turning a profit, which happens, and then the other problem is they're just not enjoying their role anymore in the business and what to do next. So from the profit side, of course, your business has to turn a profit in order for you to survive, right? Especially if you have other therapists that you have to pay. You cannot hire therapists and not expect to pay them. Same as your bills, if you need to pay your rent or whatever the case is. So the Business Builder program can absolutely help take your business and kind of dissect it and figure out where you can be either saving money or where you can be making money or both, right? And then from there, you decide what's the next path forward. Okay, so definitely profit is very important because there's a lot of business owners out there that might even be making profit, but it's kind of at the point where they might as well work for somebody else. And I'm sure you didn't start your business to get to a point where you're working harder for less money or the same amount of money that you could be working for somebody else without having the hassle of actually running a business. So that's one component. The other component is just not being happy where you are in running your business. And I've seen that many times where therapists reach out and say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They're wearing too many hats, right? And that's what Anthony mentioned on another meeting where he said you don't have to wear uh, all the hats, right? So it's very important to identify what hats you're wearing and what hats you can actually delegate, right? What roles and responsibilities are you doing that are not making you happy? Because those are the roles that you have to pull out from under you and then give it to somebody else. Okay, and there's so many that can be a whole discussion just on delegation. So yeah, absolutely. It's important for existing business owners to also reach out because we have helped many identify the problems in their existing business and get them stable. And honestly, even if you don't have any problems, we've helped businesses grow. Um, just even if they were one location, we help them grow and get them a second location or hire more therapists. There's so many opportunities for growth. So it's extremely important to reach out, and the program helps with that as well.
Yeah, what I was looking through reviews from last year and therapists, one therapist, their goal, was to make so much in 1 year, and they met their goal in 6 months, 6 months being in our program. So awesome. Okay, Anthony, you tend to meet with a lot of our therapists that are coming with businesses already set up because we're finding that a lot of these businesses don't have good systems in place. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, the most important thing for me is to find weaknesses right? And find where things are a little bit more chaotic. I'm not here to kind of disrupt the whole business and go, okay, you're not going to do things this way anymore. And you're going to change gears 180 and, you know, throw you way out of whack. But really, what I want to do is help find where things are being more complicated or more chaotic than they should be, help simplify things, and and just kind of fill roles a little bit more simply for you, not necessarily removing every single thing that you're currently doing. And if you're happy booking appointments over here, great, let's keep that. Let's modify how we communicate with patients, or let's set up ways where we can help uh, provide a much more visible way of seeing a patient's journey with you through a pipeline, right? And it's really just about picking and pulling, where are your sticking points, where are your frustrations, and finding out how I can make your business run smoother versus kind of making your life more complicated. That's what I want to avoid at all costs.
Love when we can say, or when Anthony, like we have someone that, feels like they're doing something that's really repetitive or the same thing, or they're having trouble with this area. You can help them problem solve and see how to simplify it and make it easier. We've had lots of therapists that just praise Anthony because they're able to give them their time.
Yeah, and I find that if I can help you with those small wins, you actually want to do more in here, and you actually want to invest in it and move more components over. So that's really what it is. It's never about building Rome in one day with me. It's really about finding little things that can be improved. And then you see better experiences from the patient, more time saved on your end or an admin's end. And therefore, more money comes in because now you don't have to spend that time doing it or someone else doing it. So it's kind of, it goes back to that momentum analogy of, once we get that snowball rolling, what else can we bring into it and make it even more, simplified or streamlined?
Awesome. Megan, you work individually and in groups with all of our therapists pretty much. So what are your thoughts for businesses that are already set up and how we can help them, or things that you've seen make a huge difference?
I think a huge thing is what we've already touched on. One being that you can't do everything, kind of like Steve Anthony has said. And so as you get into the business, if you're successful even with patient and caseload, you start to notice like, wait, I don't have a good policy and procedure in place, or I don't have a good system in place for this. And a lot of people, once they've been in it, I know when I first started my business, I met with a PT who has had his own business for a long time. And I know that systems were sometimes difficult because it's nice to have a group of people who are experts in those areas. So I think what we see is people have maybe built some success and they either want to grow, or as Steve said, they're not enjoying all aspects of what they're doing. And they're like, I don't want to answer the phone all day long. I don't want to be typing in patient information all day long. I'm sick of that part of it. And by coming into this, you have new eyes, you have a whole team that joins you and helps you with that. The other thing is looking to the future, as everyone's talked about, like, what am I going to do with this business? Is my goal to work every day, fee for service? I have to tit for tat. I got to keep seeing patients. Or is it that maybe I started it never thinking I wanted to add a therapist, and now I'm 8 years in and it's like, I'd really like to take a vacation, or I'd like to take the summer off to be with my kids in their programs. And how do I add that person? And I think this program has so much individualized options, in the sense there's so much information in there. So if you're looking to just add a new person, there's an entire folder on what are the steps I need to do. Should it be a contractor worker, an employee, and how does that flow? And how do we make sure that we're following, again, all of the rules and regulations of hiring or changing and modifying our company? So I think that's such a huge component for the business owners, whether they're already successful and just wanting to shift, or they're needing a little bit of help, like Anthony and Steve talked about, getting their profitability up or changing some systems to not spend so much money. There's kind of one fit for everybody within this program because there's so much information out there. And I know, again, I've morphed with Kara through all of these things. So there was an option for us to stay in the program for a while just for continuing ed and all that. And it's so invaluable. Being able to be connected to a group to say, hey, I get compliance training 3 times a year. Hey, I get updates from experts in the fields to really help me make sure that I am doing all the right things. And that's another way that helps us grow, because we're not going to grow appropriately. And the more money your business makes, the more you're on the radar of everything out there, whether it's your state or it's CMS or whomever. And so we really need that team behind us to help us stay within regulations and compliance and all those kinds of things. So I think that's what's great for business owners coming into the program.
Awesome. And just having another person's view is so important because you see things totally different. And another thing I like is it's not just my point of view, but you also get Steve's point of view, Megan, Anthony. So you are working with a group of experts that come in, and then it goes even beyond us. I mean, we have Alex Ingar, who does our financial coaching. I work closely with Rick Wanda and Nancy Beckley on the back ends. If people have troubles or concerns, I'm able to collaborate with them. So it gives people that support in all of those different areas that you really need to have a successful business. I do hear a lot of times that current business owners, they don't have time to invest or to do this, and they'll maybe do it down the road. Any thoughts on that? Steve, you want to go? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
What happens
Yeah.
if people don't take the time to invest and make the changes sooner than later?
Yeah, time is important. So the best time to get something started was yesterday, right? That saying is very true, because if you don't do it, it's just you're gonna add more and more things to your to-do list, right? And listen, personal life, business life, everything just piles up all the time. And if you don't get it done with your business now, chances are you're not gonna get to it soon. And then by the time you actually get to that, you're not going to be passionate about anymore, or there's going to be other things that you might be doing. So I highly recommend organizing yourself. Kind of have whatever works for you, like a planner, and keep it separate, like a business planner. Like me personally, I have a separate calendar for business and personal because it works for me. I know you, Kara, we spoke about this before, and I have many others. Everyone keeps one calendar, right? There's no right or wrong. Just whatever works for you, that's what you should do. And you should hit your target points, and also set goals, set deadlines, because you can't do everything all at once either. So I'm not saying, do it right now. No, you have to have the time to do it. But if you don't set expectations for yourself, then it's not going to get done. And if it does get done, it might be overwhelming when you get to it, because then you have other things already on your list. So prioritize, do your best, and set deadlines. And I think that's a good recipe to follow, because this actually, kind of follows what we're trained as therapists for patients, right? Set goals, long-term goals, short-term goals are critical in every business and in your life as well, in my opinion.
Awesome. And the time thing, I mean, Anthony, you can literally give people back time.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there's that. I was going to say the biggest thing that I see is you're able to tap into people who have already spent years and have made the mistakes for you, right? That's something that we go through when we're business owners, and we can literally just help you avoid those pitfalls, right? We can support you. We are your support network in that way. But then also we help you remain accountable to the vision that you have. We help keep you on track. We don't really want you to get off track and kind of fall down those rabbit holes. And that's what we see most often. So yes, we give you back time and money in ways that aren't necessarily tangible at first, but it's kind of like once you get to where you want to be, you can almost look back and go, if I didn't have X, Y, or Z, or if I didn't have this system in place, I can see how things would be more chaotic for me, or I'd be kind of just bedridden because I'm just worked down to the bone and I can't really run the business anymore.
When it comes to the time discussion, I mean, Megan's probably one of our most perfect examples. I mean, she called me, we talked, and I believe you signed up for the program like immediately. And that weekend you had your business in place. And then all throughout the time, I mean, you know the importance of investing and doing all of this. So you can probably talk to it better than any of us.
Well, I just think to wrap it all around, yeah, I was working full time. I coached volleyball at the high school. I was chaotically running around. But I think the thing to remember is if something happens to me, what system do I want in place to continue to be supported by my business? And I think when we don't have systems, we don't have a plan, and we don't invest in it. I'll never forget my mom coming with me to my bank, and to the place that my mom grabbed my leg and said, "Oh my God, what if you died tomorrow? How do we get into your bank account?" And I was like, "Mom, that's a little morbid, but okay." But she has a point. And so the more that we invest and have a team around us, the more I could say, hey, here's where my systems lie. I can still answer the phones or take in new clients if I, had an accident or had emergency surgery. But I think a lot of people put everything on their shoulders that they're going to be able to do this by themselves. And it may be an injury or a health concern, but it may also just be you don't want to do it that day and you want to take that week vacation and spend time with your family. And now we don't have systems. So it's true. I just made time. You just make time and you tell people, listen, you're going to work for 40 years or 30 years. I'm going to work for 10, but I'm going to get as many hours in as you got in your 30 years. So just leave me alone and let me get this figured out and go from there. So I really believe that you have to plan for the future, not just because of burnout, but what ifs of life. And we can't always plan for that. But if you have systems in place and you have focus and you've put in the time and effort, there's a policy and procedure right there that says, hey, if Megan's out, we call Scott. If Scott's out, we call this person. This is who's going to continue to do payroll. This is who's going to continue to do intake. It's going to flow whether I'm sitting there or not. And I think that's everybody's ultimate goal, is their business still works for them if they can't show up to their business.
Awesome. And we want the business owners we work to be able to take a week or 2 weeks or a month vacation and enjoy their time. I mean, a lot of us started a business so we had more time, freedom, and flexibility. So awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you all. And thank you all who's listening.